alaikum, brothers and sisters. Welcome to our short course on how to give dawah. I want to talk very briefly about the virtues of dawah and why dawah is so important. But before we do that, let's very quickly mention, what does dawah mean? So the word dawah simply means to invite. When we talk about dawah in the context of Islam, it means inviting people to Islam, inviting people to worship Allah, to single out Allah alone for worship, and generally to enjoin what is right and to forbid what is wrong. This is something which Allah has ordered us with in the Quran, where He told us, وَلْتَكُمْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَعْمَرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْحَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Which means, let there arise from you a group of people that is calling to all that is good, they enjoin what is right and they forbid what is wrong, and they are going to be the successful ones. So my brothers and sisters, definitely we want to be, all of us, from the successful ones, because that's what we're looking for, the success in this life and in the next life. So what is the virtue of dawah? Well, one of the ways that we can understand how virtuous something is by understanding the reward that is connected with it. And certainly the reward for giving dawah is absolutely tremendous. In fact, I reckon that there's not many things that has quite as much potential for reward as dawah. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that anyone who invites a person to do something good, then they will share in the reward of that person doing that good thing, without that person's reward being diminished in the least. And if anybody, on the other hand, invites a person to do something evil, then they will share in the punishment of that person doing that evil thing without their punishment being decreased in the least. So basically, simply what this means is that if Allah guides one person to Islam because of you, because of your da'wah efforts, because of you inviting them to Islam, then every time they pray, every time they fast, every time they give charity, if they make hajj, how about when they get married and they have kids and they teach their kids Quran and they teach their kids Islam? Even for that, you will get rewarded. And when their kids teach their kids, and so on and so forth. So as long as these people are following Islam and having descendants who follow Islam, you will share in the reward of that. So you can imagine, brothers and sisters, that the reward for being the means through which and by which a person comes to Islam is really, really amazing, and it is really great. And perhaps there is nothing that has the potential for so much reward as being the means through which and by which Allah guides people to Islam. On the other hand, we want to understand, what is the punishment if we fail to give dawah? Now, there are some very dire warnings in the Quran. Some of them are very direct, and some of them we can understand in a sense indirectly. One of the very important stories that Allah tells us is the story of the Sabbath breakers. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with the story of the Sabbath breakers. There was a village which was by the sea, and they took their livelihood from fishing. But because these people, unfortunately, had got used to committing sins, Allah sent upon them a fitna, a trial, a test, a tribulation. So what would happen was that every single day there was no fish in the sea, except the one day when they were not allowed to fish, which was the Sabbath. And on the Sabbath day, the fish would appear in great numbers. So some people, they tried to get round the Sabbath by setting their nets the night before and taking the nets in the night after. And they said, look, we didn't do work on the Sabbath. We didn't actually do the fishing on the Sabbath. We did the work the night before and we did the work the night after. But in reality, they were causing the fish to be caught. So in this village, there were groups of people. One of them was breaking the Sabbath. The other one was giving dawah. They were going to the people who were breaking the Sabbath. They were advising them, telling them to fear Allah, telling them to stop doing this thing, that it was wrong. And there was another group in the village who were not breaking the Sabbath. They were saying their prayers. They were minding their own business. But they said to those people who are giving dawah, why do you call these people whom Allah is about to destroy and Allah is about to send upon them a terrible punishment? And so these people who are giving dawah said, so we will be free from blame in front of our Lord, which means they understood that if they didn't call people away from this evil, Allah would blame them. And they also said, and maybe these people will fear Allah. Now, what is really interesting is that Allah in the Quran mentions that the only group of people He rescued were those who forbade evil. So some of those who explain the Quran said that Allah destroyed not only the Sabbath breakers, but also those people who were not breaking the Sabbath, but they were not involved in dawah. They were not involved in enjoining what is right and forbidding what is wrong. So this is a very severe warning that if we don't call to what is right, if we don't forbid what is wrong, if we do not invite people to al-Islam, then maybe Allah will punish us along with those people who have disobeyed Him. This, my brothers and sisters, is a very, very severe warning to us. And also the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that you must enjoin what is right and forbid what is wrong, or else Allah will send upon you a calamity and you will make dua and it will not be accepted. This is a very strong warning to us from the Prophet ﷺ of how important it is for us to encourage people towards goodness and discourage people away from evil. And of course, there is that very beautiful and important surah of the Quran, Wal Asr, Innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Which means, by time, verily, definitely, all of human beings are lost, in a state of loss, illa alladhina amanu, except those people who have true faith, wa amilu salihat, and they do righteous actions, wa tawasaw bil haqq, and they join together in teaching truth, wa tawasaw bis sabr, and they join and support each other in patience. This means, brothers and sisters, that it's not just enough to have iman and to do righteous actions, but if we're going to be saved from being the lost ones, from being lost in this dunya, in this world and the next, we also need to teach truth, to encourage people to follow the truth, and we need to be patient upon teaching the truth. That is something very important, brothers and sisters, that dawah needs sabr, dawah needs patience, it needs perseverance. We have to stick with it, because with it is going to come difficulties and trials and tests. And of course, with that also is a great virtue and a great reward.